Welcome to the Sam Sorbo Show. This is Sam Sorbo, your host. We're going to talk about how you can also stand up for your rights and for liberty. And to that end, I'm bringing on a very special guest, a woman who is a hero in my mind, Mary Magdalene Mosier. She's a 59-year-old professional artist and a native Wisconsinite cheesehead. She has owned and operated her business, Mary Magdalene's Temple of Arts in Kenosha, Wisconsin, since 1994. And she has an incredible story that got her arrested, but for all the right reasons. Mary Magdalene, thank you so much for joining me on the Sam Sorbo Show.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Yes, it was a wild story. Last May 5th, 2020, I tried to attend a noticed public meeting of the Kenosha County Board, and it was not a virtual meeting. All 23 of our supervisors were physically present, as was all the attendant staff. And I was the only person who was trying to get into this meeting, and they arrested me and threw me up against the wall, handcuffed me, and put me in the back of a sheriff's deputy vehicle for
Hold on, back the truck up. We got to start. We just have to set it up because people don't even know that county boards of supervisors meet, school boards. They've heard about school boards now because there are people who are going in and speaking, but you are as a lawful citizen, and even sometimes, and even not, people are allowed to attend these meetings. These are government meetings, but our government is of the people, by the people, and for the people. And for that reason, people are invited to these meetings. And by law, at least in Wisconsin, in your state, you know the law says you must be allowed to attend. But then you deal with idiots who don't know the law and they think that they're doing something. So we're going to back up. Because the story is pretty spectacular. You went to the front door. The front door said, hey, if you're the supervisors, you're invited to go around to the back. And you thought, well, I'm invited to the meeting because I'm a citizen and I'm allowed to go to the meeting. And so you went around back and you nearly got past the guard there.
Yes, Wisconsin has very strict open meetings laws. And when there is a noticed public meeting of any government body in any manifestation, the public must be allowed to attend. And our Kenosha County Administration building had been locked. The public had been locked out of it since March 2020. And when I got to I knew that they were meeting in there, as they always do, in the same room on the second and fourth Tuesday of the month. And there was a sign on the door that said, due to COVID, the building was locked. I mean, citizens, taxpayers were locked out of our county administration building. And then there was a little tiny sign that said, supervisors go around to the back to attend the meetings. And I thought, okay, I'm going around the back. So I went around the back and there were two sheriff's deputies. One was a captain and one was a regular deputy inside. And one of them, the captain, was a nice gentleman and he held the door open for me when I came in. And this was May 5th, 2020. And we had county board elections April 7th, 2020. So there were a substantial number of new supervisors that and I walked in and he said, I'm sorry, I don't know all the supervisors yet. And I was like, yeah, okay, fine. And he said, who are you? And I said, I'm Mary Magdalene Mosier. And I went to go get on the elevator to go up to the meeting. And he said, well, are you a supervisor? And I said, no. And he said, well, you can't go into the meeting. It's a closed meting. And I said,
see, that's where I would have said yes. And it wouldn't have been a lie because I was going to supervise, right? Or look over, over and Vise.
Watch the people who I'm paying.
Yes,
Yeah.
watch them, right? But you were like way too,
And
because you're from Wisconsin, you're way too honest. No, I'm kidding. And so you said no, and he said, well, hold on a minute. You're not allowed to go
well,
up there.
and I had checked the county board website prior to going, and they had the agenda listed, and there was citizen comments was on the agenda. That is a legal agenda item where they have to listen to you. And at the county board meetings in Kenosha, they give you 5 minutes. And when
Each person,
when you're
so
standing
each,
at the podium, there's a giant video screen over to your right that has a huge clock like ticking down, so you know exactly how much time you have to speak.
so I want
And
people, I'm sorry, Mary Magdalene, the reason that I'm going to sort of stop and start this is because I want people to understand there are protocols which allow
oh
you to
yes,
voice your opinion as a citizen of the United States and a member of whatever community you happen to be a member of. And even if you're not a member of that community, you are still allowed
oh
to
yes,
voice your comments. And so, and they must put citizen comments into their meetings because that's the way the law is. That's how the whole system is designed. But
in Wisconsin, yes,
and
that is how it works.
right. And so in Wisconsin, you're allowed 5 minutes, but this is something that is basically across the board in the United States. And it might differ slightly from state to state, but this is the
True.
way our government works. Okay. Because our government is of the people, by the people, and for the people. And
And that
so,
is
and they do
so
things to try to dissuade you. They do things to try to, um, um, basically intimidate you, like a great big clock saying you only have this much time left, right? They do those things because they don't want to hear from you, because they're the supervisors and they've got all the power. No, they don't.
right.
But
And that's another reason I'm so thankful that you had me on, because I've been attending these meetings, whether it's the Kenosha Common Council or school board meetings or the Kenosha County Board for 30 years. And it is a real eye opener when citizens actually attend and they find out just how strict the protocol is enforced. And the only time you get to speak as a citizen is during citizen comments. And just as you described, they differ in where they put the sign up sheet. And if you don't sign up, and when you stand at that podium, you have to announce your legal name and your street address, which is another form of intimidation. Because now these meetings are all recorded and put on the internet for anybody to see. And people are afraid of that.
you have
You've
to
got to get
dox
past that.
yourself. That's what she's
Yes,
saying, is that now
yes.
they're forcing people to, quote, dox themselves.
Well,
And
it
yeah,
didn't used to be a problem when the meetings
yes.
weren't recorded and only a handful of us, people that were pissed off would go to
Well,
these things.
I would put
But
to you
now
that
the
it didn't
world
used
can
to be
see
a
you.
problem when people were still civil, but we've entered into a new phase where there are
Yeah.
people here who don't believe in civility because they've gone over to the dark side. And so they believe that violence is an appropriate
And
answer
that's
for
being
almost anything.
tolerated. Not even just tolerated, but almost encouraged
Encouraged.
to dogpile on people and say, but I implore people to, everybody says you should contact your elected officials. And yes, they always say, we'll call them. I always tell people, don't call them, because then they will lie and say, I never got a call, or, maybe I got one call or something. If you email them, at least in the state of Wisconsin, that becomes a matter of public record that can be uh, obtained by citizens during open records requests. So they can't lie and say that nobody contacted me, because the school board does that all the time. You're the first person that ever complained about signing this document that says that if your child is killed or maimed as a direct result of the negligence of our chaperones, you won't sue. That was an actual document here in Kenosha. And I called when my child was in public high school. And I said, this is ridiculous. What kind of idiot are you going to get that's going to sign this? It says right here, as a direct result of the negligence of your chaperones, that I'm not going to sue. And this woman had the audacity to say to me, well, you're the first person who ever complained about this. And then I was on the phone and I said, then why am I holding in my hand an article from the Kenosha News saying that a woman who is a lawyer filed a lawsuit over this 3 years ago? If I'm the first person that ever complained about this, they will just lie to you.
No,
But
and then they'll say, your 5-year-old can't go on the trip and he's going to be very upset. And what are you going to do when he cries? And my answer to that
my
is
daughter
I'm going to
was
buy him a dinosaur. What are you going to do when I sue your butt off?
my daughter was on student council, and this particular trip, number one, was to Las Vegas. And I'm like, what kind of lunatic takes underage high school kids, and she was maybe 14 at that time, to Las Vegas? And I mean, I liked the two people who were the chaperones, and I had no presupposition that they would do anything ridiculous. But the nature of this document was so incendiary to me. I thought, you have got to be kidding me that you think you're going to get people to sign this thing. Oh,
but let me ask
anyway,
you, Mary Magdalene, people signed it, yes?
Oops, I missed that. Sorry.
People did sign it, right?
People did. I refused to sign it. And they said, well, if you don't sign it, your child can't go, which of course, my child was upset with me. But when they grow up, they appreciate it. It's no fun, because my mom, when I was a kid, was like you and was an education activist, because she was a former public school teacher. And when I was in the 5th grade, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, my mom read, they were getting rid of geography and history, and they were combining it to social studies. And my mom, just for the heck of it, said, I'm going to read this book. Well, she read it, and my dad came home from work and she said, look at what this is saying. This is an absolute lie. This is not what happened during the revolution. And she read the entire book, and my dad said, well, if other parents knew this, they would object to this too. And we were in a Catholic school. So my mom called every single parent in my class, which was absolutely mortifying to me. And my parents had a pool party and invited all of the other parents to our house. And my mom had made an outline, and she said, this is what this book says. We don't want our children learning this because it's lies. And all the parents went to the PTA meeting, which they don't even have those anymore because they couldn't care less what parents think. And they got the book removed, and we still had history and geography. And then my mom got really involved in it, and she started realizing there was only 3 companies in the US at the time that wrote the textbooks. And it was all just communist nonsense. And this was, like I said, this was when I was in the 5th grade, and I'm old, so this is nothing new.
What is that, like 45 years ago, something like that?
It was in the late 70s. Yeah, it was in the 70s.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I'm 59.
Yeah, we've seen this coming. It's not new, and we ought to have awoken already. But back to your story about the County Board of Supervisors meeting, because it's so good. You got in the elevator to go up, and he got you.
I tried.
I
didn't even get
off
into
the
it.
elevator, right?
Yeah,
he blocked
I didn't
your
even
way.
get into it.
Okay.
It was they kept saying you could go to the sheriff's office and watch, the live stream, and I said, I don't want to watch it. I'm here to participate in it. And I had the Safer at Home order that was what our governor had mandated, that people stay home. But I also
the governor
had
who then went to Florida after she mandated that people stay home, right?
No, that's Michigan. That's that's Gretchen Whitmer. Ours is I have a yard sign that says worst governor ever's, because his name is Tony Evers. And yeah, he's a lunatic and an absolute puppet. He is also a career government employee and was head of our Department of Public Instruction, DPI. He presided over the greatest decline in public school test scores in the history of our state. And this is the guy they trot out to be our governor. His entire administration is made up of former members of the Obama administration who are complete carpetbaggers, like the woman who was the head of our public health department. She's a lawyer. She's a lawyer who was in the Obama White House, Andrea Palm. And now she's got a job in the Biden administration because she delivered and got this idiot elected here.
Okay. Okay. We're going to take a quick break and I will be right back with the second part of my interview with Mary Magdalene. We're going to talk about exactly what happened that got her arrested. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. If you're on, anyway, back with part 2. All right. Thank you for watching the Sam Sorbo Show. Just a quick shout out. Hey, if you're fed up with the huge transfer of wealth that we've just seen and the transfer of wealth overseas, how about we buy USA made products from now on? How about we just purpose that? That would be one step in the right direction, don't you think? So email me at buyusaMade@protonmail.com because I have a quick kind of easy solution along those lines. And I'd love to share it with you. I've got a lot of people who have reached out to me, and some of you have, maybe you think that this is some kind of spam or something. It's not, it's totally legit. And I was answering those emails, and some of you just sort of dropped off. Maybe you didn't think that it was me, but anyway, buyusaMade@protonmail.com. And then don't forget to like and subscribe, please. And you can join me for some extra content over at sorbos.locals.com. That's where I put up all of the second parts of interviews that I do. Thanks so much for watching the Sam Sorbo Show. I'm Sam Sorbo. Forget to go to my TV show on Epoch TV or Epic TV. It's at the Epic Times news site. They are a great paper, and you can watch my show called School's Out with Sam Sorbo, all about how our education has gone so wrong and what you can do about it. And thank you for your support there also. Really appreciate it.